All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's good? Robert Williams here, um, the emotional trader. If you follow me on Instagram, but want to take a moment as I lift my table up to go over a trade that I just entered into, and kind of go over it because I'm seeing some similarities in something I just shared with a special group of folks that I'm working with on Friday night, my financial disciples. So if you're checking this video out, I wanted to make it because it draws a lot of a correlation of some things that we talked about this past Friday. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen of Thinkorswim and just get this out of the way there. And what we're looking at right now is ARKF, the FinTech Innovation ETF. And I entered into a short-term trade on this starting, I believe, Thursday. Just bought one contract, 1 month out, and wanted to go over some similarities in this particular position because this is some that I talked about, right? So with ARKF, we see that we had a uptrend here, right? And we have some lines, some trend lines on ARKF, and let me see, when I drew this bottom one, I drew it connecting this point and this point as the support of the uptrend. And then of course I duplicated those lines to be able to touch the top here and the top here. And those essentially of course came into play, had sideways movement, popped up, hit that resistance area on the uptrend, and then it pulled back down and hit that support area. Then ARKF went on a nice, like, little explosive run before we had like massive pullbacks with bond yields and treasury stuff, and just kind of tech all in all. NASDAQ took a hit. Everything was down. Apple, ARKK, Tesla, Teladoc, XLK, XOY, all these things were just down. Yeah, even though S&P 500 took somewhat of a dip, and then of course to its 50 and pulled back and starting to look to create new highs. But what we're seeing here with ARKF, what initially drew me to ARKF, right now I have no EMAs on here, but and ARKF has been a great ETF overall. But what drew me to it was that when I throw my EMAs on here and we have this uptrend, ARKF was riding the 20, which is my blue line, riding the 20, it had explosive growth, and then it comes back, hits the 50 EMA, bounces up to where the 20 and 10 EMA is a ceiling, and then it broke more down to the 100 simple moving average, and then we seem to find some support in this area. And that support kind of comes from a little bit of this previous resistance can become a new support. Also in this area of being new support as well. So let's do this. I'll drag my line up this way so you can kind of see how this zone comes into play. Because you're never going to get an exact spot. You do, but think of it as a zone, what your support zone is. I honestly thought it was going to be the 100. So when it pulled underneath it, I was a little skeptical. But then we see here there's old resistance when it created this high that had become a support area here. And then it made its run up. So I think that we found our support. And then of course, things have changed around for the tech space in the last week or so. So now we have a pull, now we're pulling up, and we broke above the 50 EMA. So it's no longer could act as a ceiling, right, on the uptrend. And I felt like that was some good news. And then we pulled, but we stopped right at the 20 EMA. So I'm really ideally looking for us to get through the 20 EMA. And so this line here was my first indicator of a number that I wanted to get up and get above, was 52.25, because that was an old resistance and it was a support zone in these two areas. Well, it did that on the 10th, which was, what, today's Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So it broke up above on Wednesday, and then it closed below it. So then it popped up the next day, had a really good up day in green candlestick. That's pretty much a gap from 51.50 to opening at 53. And then this is the day I entered and tested by getting one contract of the April of the April 16th contract at $54.82. So full transparency there. So then it had a pullback on Friday, which I kind of expected. That's why I only bought one contract. And I didn't really get in on Friday because I wanted to see a little bit more of a confirmation move for it to come back up and, of course, break a little bit of this high and see it move this way. And I believe and feel like I saw this today with this candlestick here, as it opened pretty much at its previous close zone, pulled back a little bit, but then it's made its way to pretty much be a green candlestick to make its way back up. And so here's the other thing I saw. On the short term, on this fall, we had a pullback. I mean, we had a sharp downtrend. So I'm gonna draw that line there. From pretty much, actually, no, let me draw the line from the high area here. That ran through 1, 2, and 3. So let me remove the moving averages, because moving averages is what I additionally make my trades based off of, seeing where they're at on those lines. And I believe we're going to be breaking above these moving averages back to all-time highs. And for this trade, I'm just trying to target pretty much 58 bucks at this old high where it pulled back from. So let me get rid of my moving averages and go straight to candlesticks. But you see, we had this sharp area where we had some resistance, the high, and then we had some resistance when it came up here. And then I felt like there was some resistance there, and that's where it stopped. Well, Friday and today, we broke out of that resistance line, in my opinion. And even when we duplicate this line to see if you can find some area of support, you see that there on that downtrend where it's doing this, boom, came up, boom, came up, and now up, it's sideways, and now we have a breakout of a candlestick to look like it's going to the upside. Here's the other thing you kind of see that I'm gonna draw in here. Let me do my draw tool, got the yellow. We're gonna draw some arrows on here. So of course, we'll go all the way back here. Up trend, exploded out of that area here. That was a resistance zone that we felt, and came back, went up, and then began to fall, and then came up, and then fell, and then came up. So what you would anticipate is, of course, what is it going to do next? Continue to go here. But this sideways movement on Friday, and then this movement here gave me some good confirmation that I really liked I would like to enter in on this play. So let me erase this line and show you what I'm seeing. I see that we hit this resistance area, but what we did is we came down and tested this old resistance, which was a new support zone area, and now we're bounced up. So what we could see from here is further move up, or we can see some maybe sideways bounce and then move up as it gets above, and didn't do that right. As it gets above, let me put these EMAs back on here if it will do that for me. As it gets above its EMA. So hopefully this drawing tool is going to do it for me, or maybe it's not, because I have so much going on right now. You know what? When this does this here, typically means that my thinkorswim is going to stop working. Let me pause for a moment, and then I'll bring it right back with you guys. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Thinkorswim had to force quit it. But as we came back, I was trying to line up my lines so I didn't have to draw them again. But as I was mentioning, we had the upward move, and then we had the down move. And honestly, if you want to get rid of this line here, the reason I'm going to get rid of it is to make a good point in a second. And we just want to use, say, this here as a down move, right? All of that, including that little bounce up. You can do that too. And so what I see here though, again, is the pullback. It was a little pullback to test out the old resistance that was a support zone in this area here. And then now we're going to either get a little bit maybe of some sideways movement here, and then a move up or a move up. Now, if this play doesn't work, what we're going to pretty much see, in my opinion, and that's all we can base off of what we can anticipate based off previous price action. And I don't like to say it's speculative. I'm just speaking facts here of what I've seen. If we pull below the 52.25, then that's pretty much, that's pretty much a wrap. This play's not going to work. So if this thing pulls down this way, we're out of the play. Because obviously I'm only into April expiration, so I needed to do its thing quickly. And like I said, I'm just trying to get back to here. And there's an old previous area here, trying to get back to there, and then I'll assess if we're going to be doing a just straight up exiting at that point with the profit or putting in a trailing stop loss. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, and it's so funny because God works in mysterious ways, and it's awesome how he does this, is I'm going to go to something that we looked at this past Friday. So I'm going to erase that. But if you know anything about trading and patterns and you follow Fibonacci lines, doesn't this look like Elliott wave theory? Now, I'm brand new to learning Elliott wave theory, but I really kind of just drew it out, which is crazy to me. Even though this wave 4 should not have come all the way to the top of wave 1. That's neither here nor there, but that's wave 1, 2, 3, 4, explosive impulse 5, and an ABC correction. Now we're in wave 1. So that's why I'm saying this could come back some, but then go for its run of wave 2. That's all I thought I'd just mention that. It looks like Elliott wave, but I'm no Elliottician. I just think I see what I saw. So here's why I want to bring this up. Yeah, we talked about this with the financial disciples. We had an uptrend move, we had a short-term downtrend, and then we had that pivot point. I think this is it, where we'll start our up movement again. And so what we were looking at, and on demand, we went into the past and followed a stock that we had never looked at back in 2017, which was FedEx. And in FedEx, we looked at this exact same type of action here on what we were seeing with FedEx. And is it buffered all the way? It's buffered all the way. Okay. So we had 1 year out. Let me pull it back. So we saw there was choppy sidedness, and we talked about this. Obviously the spike and uptrend, and then it had this short-term downtrend from pretty much July to August, right? So about 2 months. And so as we looked at this, we were talking about when do you do puts, when you do this, that, and the third. So we could see that you could have done a put here and then exited there at the bottom of this trend, but you really would have made the lines at this point or at these points, right? And so you have a downtrend, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, about the same high. And this is where you start to pay attention to see if you have a change in your trend. And then we saw that there was a lower low. I'm sorry, not a lower low, but a higher low. So I'm like, maybe we are having a trend. So we started to look at it like at this point here and start to say to ourselves, okay, is there some area, some horizontal lines? And we had identified this area as a horizontal line that was old resistance. After it broke up, it had become new support. And then of course it eventually broke that, so that confirmed your downtrend. And then we just started kind of moving through it to where we were seeing where it had this low, came up to this old, or now resistance, which was an old support. And then it had a higher low, and it kind of came up to that zone again and then pulled back, and then it started to look like it made its way up. So when we said, hey, let's follow this and see what happens, we had some idea that it would continue to go either up or move sideways. And as we saw this candlestick here, it moved up. So what did it do? It broke that old resistance, new support, current resistance, broke up above it. And then it really took its way up. And what we did also too was we drew some support lines for what this new uptrend could be when we got to around this point here, because we saw that, okay, we had a support here on this uptrend. It broke up, it went to this resistance area where it fell below and you had the gap. So we drew lines there. And so we said, all right, we can expect a pullback, and I think it'll come here and bounce right back up. And as we just went through it, came there, and then it began to bounce, sideways move, and make its way up. So if I draw those same arrows on here, I believe we have this same move happening in ARKF right now. Obviously got an up move here, got it down, up, down, small there, down, up. And then we begin to have this movement here. And if you know your patterns, this is an ascending wedge. Then it broke up, came back, tested old resistance as new support, came up, did a little bit of sideways, but eventually made its way back up. And I believe that is the same thing we're going to get with ARKF in the coming week or two. And so it's really cool kind of seeing that. That's the past. Again, look, it was 2017. We had never followed this. And we were, October 2017 on-demand back testing. You can see that there. And then when we come to right now, I'll clear those drawings, clear all. When we come to ARKF and entering this trade here, I feel like we're seeing that same potential movement of that sideways and then going up. And again, I'm just trying to take it to pretty much the $58 zone. So wanted to share that with you guys. Really cool, like revelations and when you're paying attention. And even when you're making videos and teaching, this helps you see it a little bit more. But until next time, continue to think, live, and be unstoppable, you guys. Deuces.